must be a little game, Mox. Oh, I forgot the horror.
Firstly, we start with the very sad passing of Ugo Ehioff this morning.
Yeah.
A really
Tragedy.
highly respected figure here and across football, and of course our thoughts as a club are with his family at this very difficult.
Well, I think we're all shocked and devastated by the news of somebody so young, who very, very quietly was making his way as a very talented coach, what I've been hearing. And for everybody at Villa, somebody who I played against in the '94 Cup final. Seen him and watched him for many, many years, and played nearly 10 years here before he went on to have another great career at Middlesbrough. What sent Middlesbrough on their way too. When you consider, I think Big Ron bought him for something like £40,000. What a bargain that is in terms of being a footballer. And being a fella centre-half, he was uncompromising, quick. All of the football world will be shocked and saddened. We've just had a couple in there who've devastated to hear the news, like all of us. And of course, in these moments that you think of his family and people around him who, at 44, is quite shocking news and a tragedy, and puts football into perspective of somebody's lost their life, which is terrible news.
It certainly does, really. Football seems quite trivial, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
But thinking about this big game on Sunday, have you sensed more of an anticipation in training this week among the group?
You only have to walk out the gates to find out. You see the kids at the gates this morning, the people outside the training ground. It's always a big occasion. And my message to both sets of fans is yes, it's a big occasion, a big second city derby. It is a really, really great game, and let's remember that it is a game. And yes, come and support your team and get behind your team, and let's make sure that as a spectacle, then we're talking about it in the right reasons, because it is a great game to play in and be involved in, and it's always a bit mouth-watering, which is always great.
Of course, you'll be without Jonathan Codger this weekend, as he serves now a one-match suspension.
Yeah.
Is it a bit bittersweet for you in the sense that he obviously misses the game on Sunday, but can still be involved in the final two games?
Well, we're delighted that there's a bit of common sense came into it a little bit, but I couldn't understand why we just didn't rescind it, So the fourth official got involved, and I think it's vitally important tomorrow that the referee remembers that it's a big game and that there will be frays and tempers will be raised, and he's got to be strong. And the last thing we want to be doing is spoiling any spectacle. So of course, you can't do anything rash or silly. And John really didn't do enough for me to be sent off last week. A yellow card would have been sufficient. I think that would have been the punishment for both of them. It went against us, and so much so that he's missing tomorrow, which is a huge advantage to Birmingham, because Jonathan Codger this year has been arguably our best player in terms of the goals he scored anyway, has got us where we are today.
Of course, you gave Scott Hogan a start at Fulham on Monday. Roshan Hepburn-Murphy played the final 12 minutes or so. Is it fair to say that his suspension obviously provides an opportunity?
Yeah, of course, and it's been a bit stop-start for Scotty just yet, but what an ideal game this will be for him. This could be the game that rockets him. So we're certainly hoping so. As for the young boy Hepburn-Murphy, it's been a bit stop-start for him since I've been here. He's been out for 3-4 months. He's got a little niggle again, but I've just seen Gabby walk through the door at 8:30 this morning, which doesn't happen very often. So there must be a little small game on his agenda. So he's done everything he possibly can to be involved, and we know he relishes the occasion, so he's going to be involved too.
He likes the derby, doesn't he, Gavin?
He certainly does.
And just thinking about the game in general, obviously we've seen a lot of change at St Andrews this week. Harry Redknapp coming in as manager. Does his arrival add a different dimension to your particular preparation?
Well, certainly he'll breed a bit of confidence and probably a bit of belief back into the players of Birmingham. He's a wonderfully experienced manager, and it just shows you how quickly, and we never want to see managers walking away, losing their jobs or whatever, but in his appointment, certainly it's added a bit of spice to it, and certainly with his experience and his know-how, then there might be a different proposition. So we have to expect that. He couldn't have wished for a better start, and I'm sure he's confident that he'll get them a win. Certainly not on Sunday, but he'll get them a win to keep them in the division.
And of course you've played in and managed a lot of derbies in your time. As someone that's lived locally for a long time as well, where does this one rank?
Well, I remember going back a few years ago when it hadn't been 17, 18 years they hadn't played against each other, and the ferocity of it is up there with any other derby. You know, when you talk about the big North East one, you talk about the Glasgow derby, talk about the Merseyside derby. The one thing that we need for the second city is a spectacle. We need people to come and support that team and roar their heads off, go and have a beer early and get behind your team, which is going to be, and let's leave it at that. Let's talk about just football and whoever wins on the day. It's been too often where we're talking about things off the field, and for both sets of fans, let's make it that it's a second city and a big derby occasion. Let's just make sure we're talking about the football.
Jack Grealish missed the game at St Andrews through suspension back in October, and of course I'm sure he's been boosted and buoyed by that goal he scored for Fulham on Monday. Take it he's itching to be involved.
I'm sure, and then I'm sure Gary Gardner is too, and the local ones we've got, of course they want to be involved because, you know, it's such a big occasion. So I've got 18, 19. We've got a big training session in the next half an hour, 40 minutes, with 2 or 3 people who I'll see if they're fit or not. Taylor being one, Gabby being one. So I'll make my mind up after the training session of what team we're going to go with.
Super. Thank you very much, Steve.
Thank you.
Steve, when you heard that Harry had got the job, did you think Sunday's game has suddenly become a lot more difficult?
Yes, I have to be honest. Of course it is. They'll be looking for that wherever a new manager can give, and certainly in Harry, the most experienced British manager probably out there. So a very, very good appointment, and it will be more difficult. You know, nobody wants to see a really good football man like Gianfranco walk away. But as soon as he walked away last week, I'm thinking who they're going to bring in. And I think it's a very, very good appointment. You could see yesterday that he's still got marvellous enthusiasm for it, even at his age. And being a very, very good manager over the years. And a very, very good football man who I always enjoyed his company. And I'm sure we will on Sunday.
When you were at Sunderland and he was at Spurs a few years ago, you were very keen about his credentials to become a possible candidate to get the England job.
Well, I think we were all shocked. I don't no disrespect to Roy, and I'm delighted he had a crack at it. Roy, I think everybody thought it was nailed on that it was going to be Harry. I think he had all the credentials and what he's done, and of course being English, that he was going to be the one, you know. And when you look at his teams of what he's done over the years, you know, what he's done at Portsmouth, what he did at Tottenham, what he's done at West Ham, then he's a very, very good, highly skilled. Look, you don't be in it that long, like Harry has been, without being good. And I, at the time, thought he was the right candidate to be the England manager, and disappointed for him that he didn't get it.
Is Harry one of your big pals in football?
Not big pal, no, but you know, over the years, I've got to know him. You know, I wouldn't say he's a pal, but every time we, you know, I thought I'd be old brigade, but I am. And Harry is, since I've been in the game, Harry's been in it. So over the years, we've bumped into each other and seen him at dinners and seen him on different occasions. And he bought me dinner in Dubai about 7 years ago or whatever. So, yeah, going back a long way.
There's one final point on the Hugo situation. How important is it that both sets of supporters respect his memory of the minute's applause and the prayers going whatnot?
The respect by both sets of supporters, I'm absolutely convinced, because not just our supporters and Blues fans. The respect shown by all the football world will be shocked and saddened that somebody so young and talented has lost their life. So on occasions like Sunday football occasion, it pales into significance of somebody who was very, very good at what he was doing. I'm hearing, really good things about working with Spurs and the young players, and very quietly went about his job and making a big name for himself down at Spurs. So I am sure that the respect given by both sets of supporters on Sunday will be absolutely spot on, like it should be, because I think the whole football world, when tragedies like this happen, come together a lot, and it'll be universal, the respect shown for Hugo, because he was a very good player and a very, very, very good human being.
Morning, Steve. I know you're going to tell us it's about the points, but it's a special occasion for you on Sunday, isn't it?
Yeah, a big game, and we got beat last weekend, which stopped us in our tracks a little bit. So it's important that the feel-good factor is still around, and it'll be a great end of the season for us, that if we can go and win the game, no matter what we've done all season, if we can win this one Sunday, a lot of people will be happy, and it's my job to try and deliver that.
And secondary is the occasion.
The occasion's always a great occasion. Let's remember it for the football side of it, and that's all. And it's a great derby. The second city derby isn't spoken about the way it should be. So let's make sure the spectacle is there for everybody to see. Of course, it's going to be ferocious. There's a bit of rivalry, of course. Let's just make sure that for all the right reasons, we're talking about football.
You touched on it there. Are you shocked that it's not on telly?
I'm absolutely delighted, because we haven't done very well on Sky. So I'm absolutely delighted that it's not. We might have a chance of winning.
Talking about your time at Blues, or your history with the club, since you've been back in a professional capacity in the Midlands, what's the sort of reaction been like? Because you're still extremely well thought of on that side of the city, despite the colours you wear.
Well, I think it was a long time ago, which helped. It was over 10 years ago. And look, I spent nearly, out of a 40-year career, I've nearly spent 10 years associated with Birmingham. I think every Aston Villa knows that. My allegiance is one thing now, though. I work for Aston Villa, and I'm absolutely want to beat Birmingham on Sunday. I have to say I want Birmingham to stay in the Division 2. But certainly after Sunday, I hope Harry can work his magic and make sure they stay in this division.
What's your record like against Harry? I'm sure you don't know the exact stats. But
I've never looked. Hey, he's managed good clubs, Tottenham's and West Ham's and all the rest of it. So I really don't know what a head-to-head would be. I really don't know.
in terms of keeping professional sort of personal involvement, how's Gary Garner's been this week? Obviously, it's a good story that
With his brother, yeah, the two brothers. Yeah, he's like everybody else. If you're born and bred here, you'd be desperate to be involved. He scored a great goal 6 months ago. He played very well last weekend, so he's put himself in contention. So I've got to pick a team, and Gary's certainly in there to be considered.
In terms of selection, do you look at stuff like that and the fact that Gabby's got such a good record in years gone by?
Well, first and foremost with Gabby, he's got to be fit to start with. So it's a waste of time putting him out there if he's not fit, especially in a game like this. So, as I said, the training session we've got today is key. We've got one or two niggles and doubts. Taylor's another one. So I'll have a look at that. And of course, in a big game, in a big occasion, you need to be 100% fit. So that's all I'm thinking of at the moment. And of course, things like the local lad. We all know Gabby's got a good record against Blues. All of them things obviously come into the equation.